I mean, that's broadly stagnant. It's kind of, not a hugely positive picture, but it's progress from where we were at the end of last year, which is a positive sign.
Jack, the suggestion was that the consumer was meant to lead us out of this downturn, out of the softness that we saw the last number of quarters of last year. But the numbers today suggest it's construction, it's manufacturing, it's industrial. It's not the consumer at this point.
Yeah, I mean, what you've got to remember about kind of the industrial and the manufacturing side of things is we've had a pretty weak performance over the last few months and the last few prints. And actually you'd expect some bounce back from that in the end. So, we've had unseasonable weather effects. We've had a few things moving around, slight funny features of the data. So actually, this is good to see, but we'll actually have to see it on a more prolonged basis to know that it's something sustained.
While we're talking about the consumer, then what sort of health do you think the high street is in? We've had, very strong moves by the Bank of England. We've got some sort of road signals that there's going to be a rate cut later this year, but a lot of consumers are having to weather it out at this point until there's any movement on higher rates. So what sort of shape are they in as we count down to the first rate cut?
I mean, our forecast at Barclays is that the consumer is going to be relatively muted this year. It's hard to really see where they get a big pickup in their performance. So part of the problem is that all of the rate hikes that we had already are going to be still weighing on consumers at least through the first 2 quarters of this year, although actually we'll start to see that turn if and when rate cuts come. We've also seen now that inflation's coming down, very fortunately for consumers, we've started to see a bit of an easing in that real income squeeze that we've had. But actually, again, we'll need to see that for a more prolonged period of time before we can really see that change consumers' behaviour.
Jack, I've got a dirty secret, and that is I really enjoyed the lock-in at the Bank of England last time, where I had to sit there without my phone for over 2 hours, just poring over data. I don't know why, but it kind of it felt old school. No phone, just poring, like I was back doing my A-levels or something. The point being, the data which I pored over, which the Bank of England pores over, which Barclays pores over, it doesn't give enough green lights to rate cuts just yet. In fact, the Bank of England governor said as much to me that he's looking for more data as well. Is there anything you're seeing at the moment that is going to lead you to a different view that the Bank of England will have to be last in terms of the rate cutting after the ECB and after the Fed?
I mean, so if you look across the whole of the Barclays forecast, actually we have all three of those central banks moving in June.
Oh, right.
So the fact that the Bank of England going last is just about when in the month the kind of the meetings happen. We think that's probably fair.
So he's going to have the evidence by then?
So if you look at the data cycle, there'll be from here another 4 prints on the inflation data cycle. So they'll have a much more kind of developed picture of where prices have gone. But there'll also be a few more prints on wages as well. So they'll be able to see in a lead-in sense what's coming down the track.